The light caught the steering wheel just right, where you could make out this inscription, or somebody carved a name into it. Like at first we were like, that's really wild. We realized this was somebody's last name.
It is a World War II 1945 Willys MB model Jeep converted into an ambulance. From my calculations that I can find, there are roughly about 18 left in the world. My father, who passed away in 2010, was a World War II veteran. He was a U.S. merchant marine. Merchant Marines with Liberty ships, their job was to bring vital war materials overseas to all theaters, and his ships brought a lot of Jeeps over. He was an avid history guy like myself. We traveled the world going to battlefields, collecting pieces, uniforms, guns, medals, you name it, we were into it. And then when he passed, I kind of didn't have a calling. You know, he wasn't there, and on a whim, I went to a Reading World War II weekend at the Mid-Atlantic Air Museum. And over the next couple of years, I went back every year and got to know Park, and we became friends.
I had acquired the Holden Jeep. It was another trade deal with another hobbyist, because he knew in my hands it would get done, which it ended up coming to me, and then I realized that vehicle needed everything. I didn't have the funding to do it, and that's when Joe came into the picture. I
said to him, how about I fund it, you rebuild it, but I want to learn from it. We were getting ready to move it from another facility, their dad's place, to bring it over here for assembly and paint and stuff. And when we pushed it out into daylight, and remember this has been sitting here for a couple of years.
The light caught the steering wheel just right, where you could make out this inscription, or somebody carved a name into it. Like at first we were like, that's really wild. We realized this was somebody's last name.
Mr. T.A. Tilley. So we're like, wow, you know, that's kind of cool, but you know, you don't know what that is.
We didn't give it too much credit yet, because how are we going to track down who this is? But the last name Tilley apparently is a lot more unusual than you'd think it is. Found out there was only 2 people with that last name in the Marines during World War II, and only one of them was in that late in the war.
We dug into that a little bit more, and the 3 of us were pinging through Facebook. After a while, with no hits, finally, one of them, the grandson, got back to me. I explained to him who we were and what we were doing, and we think we found your grandfather's name carved in the steering wheel. And he came back and said 10-4, Granddad drove an ambulance on Okinawa.
We had a group chat going, and we were all like losing our minds. Finding that kind of history to any World War II Jeep is so rare. I think there might be 1 or 2 other cases where they know exactly who drove that Jeep. But we can narrow it down to every detail. We know exactly which campaign it was in, who drove it.
I can't even really explain it. You can't get any better than that. I mentioned there's 18 left in the world. The U.S. Marine Museum in Virginia has one that they've narrowed it down to Iwo Jima, but they don't know who drove it. So I have the only one which we can actually put to an actual person. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. The actual Jeep is coined a Holden conversion. Holden, which some car people know, is a Australian-made firm under GM, which made muscle cars and other vehicles. This particular Jeep was designed by a Navy doctor early in the war, when they got into the Pacific campaign, because a lot of the Dodge ambulances were too big to maneuver through thick, lush jungles. So this doctor came up with this idea of using an existing Jeep and removing the passenger side seating area and placing in a cargo box. There's a rather large cage on it, which actually held 2 litters. And they put a little door in the back for easy access.
So this is an ambulance Jeep, but it's not made to look like an ambulance at all. That was why it's to hide the fact that it's an ambulance. This is all part of the warfare of the Pacific, because Geneva Convention, you know, you never shoot at a Red Cross, didn't apply over there. So it was a big deal to have this kind of stealthy ambulance design.
Originally, Holden, because they were already in the Pacific, got the contract to build them, and they built approximately 200 of them. And they made it towards the very end of the Guadalcanal campaign. And fast forward, as the U.S. was island hopping, they were such a success, they needed more. So Holden stopped building them, and they were actually started building them in Camp Pendleton with some other modifications, trial and error, in California by Marine Motor Pool. My research that I've been able to find online, they made about between 600 and 700 of them. And a lot of them are on the West Coast, so most East Coast people don't get to see them. There's only a few here. We like the fact that we take it out, we bring it to Reading, it's outside, it gets rained on, it gets driven. For teaching purposes and telling the story of what it's been through and what the Pacific campaign was, it needs to be run and loved and used. And with this garage, if we know that if something happens to it, we can fix it. We don't want a hangar clean, and we're not afraid to use it.
You hear about World War II, but the Pacific War seems to be skimmed over. So the fact that we have this really cool piece attached to the Pacific War, and there's so many interesting things about it that tie directly in to how we fought in the Pacific.
It's actually opened up a whole new world for a whole slew of people. I mean, people from all over the world, even in England there's a couple, and here in the States, have reached out wanting measurements, pictures, did a lot of videos of it, just sending people that were rebuilding them to get them correct. It's really opened up a whole new world of friendships and brotherhood, basically, and it's just been a wonderful, wonderful experience. You know, a machine that was basically built for war, for bringing the sick, the dying, the dead out of the jungle, has opened up to new friendships and great things.